Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silent reflection for our servicemen and women throughout the world and for those who have passed away in our community, including Mike Maraca and Thomas Schoner, who served 32 years as a history and social studies teacher and department head at Scranton Technical High School. He's a U.S. Army veteran, also serves the executive board of the Scranton Federation of Teachers, and served as a U.S. Park Ranger at the Lackawanna County State Park. Mr. Schoner is the father-in-law of our city clerk, Frank Voldenberg. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Here.
Mr. Schuster?
Present.
Dr. Rothchild? Here. Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. King?
Here. Please dispense with the reading of the minutes.
Third order, 3A, City of Scranton, September 9th, flood expense reports received from City Administration on November 15th, 2023.
Are there any comments on the third order items? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I have a quick one. So this Friday, December 1st at 5 p.m., there'll be a Scranton Police Department toy drive at Laceworks Tap and Grill, 524 Court Street, Scranton, PA 18504. Please bring a new unwrapped toy. Enjoy special pricing on beverages and appetizers. Music will be by DJ Danny K. And there'll also be a photo booth will be available for free keepsakes. And that is all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Is anyone else?
Just like to make a reminder that next Wednesday, December 6th, there will be a meeting to discuss the West Mountain Stormwater, Kaiser Valley Stormwater Study. It will be at 6 p.m. at the Kaiser Valley Community Center.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
John Hodowanitz?
One is Scranton. First off, I just want to mention that the Friends of the Scranton Public Library are conducting a book sale right now at the marketplace at Steamtown. It'll run through Sunday. Hours are basically the same as the mall's hours. And it's a great opportunity for finding some very good Christmas gifts, especially for children or even your friends. This is a book I got, hardcover, Tom Clancy novel, published in the year 2000 for $28.95 brand new. It's probably at least $40 if you bought it today. $2. Okay, you know, I'm not poor, but I am cheap. So I recommend it. You want to get some really neat gifts. They have DVDs, music CDs, puzzles, lots of books for children and adults, a lot of great things, even a lot of Christmas ornaments, so check it out. So what's going on with the 2022 audit? It's only 59 days late.
I believe that it was received. Right, Frank?
That's right. They received the necessary information from the SOAR Authority, and I believe it's projected for a few weeks away.
Okay.
I'll get a date.
Oh, all I want for Christmas
Thank
is
you.
a printed copy of that door audit. That's what I want for Christmas. Well, maybe not just that. What are we doing about the labor contracts that are still not posted to the city's website? The firefighters' contract, the arbitration was completed 240 days ago, police 123 days ago, and originally we were told that it would only take 120 days to tidy them up and get them on the city's website. So where do we stand now?
Nothing's changed from last week to this week, I believe. Still working on it.
Oh, well, yeah. I'll tell you, ka-ching, ka-ching. I haven't gotten an answer to my right-to-know request, but I'd love to know whether Ufberg has a cap on how much his contract pays, or it's just open-ended billable hours. What a way to make a living. Did we ever find out who was the labor counsel for the single tax office contract? That one seemed to flow very quickly. Nobody knows? Okay. Has anything else been, I see a lot of the tax resolutions are in tonight's agenda. Has anything been done formally with regard to tax relief for the September 9th flood victims? Any kind of legislation?
Not yet at this point, but I'm expecting that to be put together.
I'm watching you guys.
Okay.
I'm not going to let you
No,
forget.
that's coming.
I
Okay.
drafted, I thought I had sent it out, apparently I didn't. I've drafted the legislation. I will send it out this evening after the meeting.
Okay, yeah, we had asked, right, so our solicitor has been working on it. He'll send it to us, and we'll get that moving.
Good. Now, I saw an article in today's paper, and it gave me quite a bit of heartburn. It's about the 3 police officers that were investigated for the overtime scheme. The one that concerns me most is the one that's never been charged. Is that very fair to him that he's been under investigation for something like 18 months? But the other side of that coin is this third person has been on paid leave for roughly a year and a half and has not been charged with the crime. A right-to-know request, which was done by the newspaper, granted in May of this year, showed that this person was paid more than $102,000 during the time he's been on paid leave. Now, that was as of May of this year. I wonder what that total is right now. Here's the problem. First of all, how long has the investigation got to go on? Either the man's name is cleared or it's not. Bring charges, poop or get off the pot, number one. Number two, while this man is on paid administrative leave, isn't there something he can do to serve the city? Remember COVID-19 when a lot of people were able to work remotely from home? Isn't there some clerical function like maybe typing up the police and firefighter contracts? Something. When I was in the military, we made people work, even if they lost their clearances under investigation. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Les Spindler?
Good evening, Council. Les Spindler, city resident, homeowner, taxpayer. I was happy to see in the paper this morning that there was a decision on the pool in Aog, that there's going to be 2 pools now. I guess a pool for people to swim laps and a smaller one, I guess. Is there going to be a splash pad? Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a date when it's going to get started?
No, I believe it's already started. I believe they're putting out an RFQ for the design. Is that correct?
Yes, it's got to be before the end of the year. It started.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. 7K, asking about the waiver for the Parks and Rec director. Wasn't it just introduced last week in 5th order? How did it get from 5th order to 7th order tonight? What happened to 6th order?
That's a resolution, Mr. King.
All right, it's a
2
resolution.
readings.
It's not an ordinance. So it's 2 readings.
Oh, okay. Just seems like you're in an awful hurry to get this done. It's because I think you're doing something wrong. Again, with the pool, I hope when they're ready, I hope it's going to go back to the pre-Doherty administration when it was free swimming. He put his wonderful water slide up and started charging people $5 to get in. I think it should be free swimming for city residents. If people from outside the city come, then maybe they should be charged, but should be free. It was always free swimming for city residents. And I think it should go back to that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Elaine Allegrucci.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elaine Allegrucci, Scranton resident, lifetime, and a Kaiser Valley resident, 40 years. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in this public forum. I consider it a privilege to represent my fellow residents. I am not here to relive the devastation of the life-changing event of September 9th. I am here to say what has occurred since that date in response to our outcries. Curbs have been rebuilt to replace those that have been run down and worn down over the years, which did add to the flooding event. Washed away portions of properties have been refilled and repaired. Mosquito spraying has taken place to remedy the infestation from stagnant water from the flooding. Drains have been flushed. We succeeded in organizing a neighborhood walk-around with approximately 30 residents for 3.5 hours, at which 4 of 5 city council members, thank you, along with the 911 director, county controller, Mr. Gallagher, greatly appreciated, and everything was done to answer residents' questions. Destroyed sidewalks have been repaired, debris have been removed, several appearances have been made by the mayor, FEMA, etc. We succeeded in organizing an appearance at the October 3rd City Council meeting right here, at which approximately 40 residents showed up for their support for all of us. The work that was done was directed by the mayor and carried out by the DPW, most of which happened within less than 24 hours of a phone call. Approximately 90 grant applications have been filed by impacted residents. Moving forward, I want to cordially invite everyone here, along with anyone else that you may think may be of assistance to us, to this public meeting. Thank you so much for reminding everyone. That meeting was organized by Mayor Cognetti, and the meeting is taking place on Wednesday, December 6th at 6 p.m. at the Kaiser Valley Community Center. A network has already been coordinated to notify residents. We are all well aware of the depth of this project, putting all of the past hurdles behind us, but are also committed to making sure that this project gets started and completed in 2024, beginning in the spring of 2024. Our goal is to prevent such a nightmare from this reoccurring again. As many homes were condemned and lives were destroyed, we still have residents living in public housing, hotels, staying with family, fighting for their homes, yet still cringing with every raindrop that falls. This is not exclusive to the Valley, but the West Mountain as well. Again, we realize this is an enormous feat, but we also are committed to its completion. Hopefully, this is the last time storm drainage will ever be a topic of conversation. Again, thank you for the opportunity of being here. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you next Wednesday at the Kaiser Valley Community Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allegrucci. Lenny Schrebro.
Good evening, Council. Lenny Cerebro, Kaiser Valley, taxpayer. I want to say thanks for the people who organized the Toys for Tots. And it's a car show that's, I believe it's Saturday at the Steamtown Garage down underneath. You know, I just want to put the thanks out there for the people who organize it. You know, I wish it was that kind of thing was around when I was a kid. Now, my family, I come from a family of 12, 10 brothers and sisters, and, you know, growing up, we didn't have no toys. So, you know, what these people are doing is really something, like I said, I wish when I was a kid. Today, though, I get to give back. You know, people who know me know I got a couple of hot rods that I want to take and show off to the kids and maybe see the small kids that are interested in what I love. That's a real blessing. I want to talk about 2 weeks ago, I heard one of the residents come up here, and he was supportive of the tax increase for the property taxes. You know, I can't believe that somebody's all for it when they're so high already. You know, are there really people like that? I don't know. But a lot of us are senior citizens. We live on a fixed income, we live day to day, and the increase in property taxes, I don't know, we're afraid of losing our houses because we can't pay the taxes. They're ever increasing, and they're so high now. But to me, I can't believe, like, it's a no-brainer that retired people over 65 should have to pay school taxes. You know, it doesn't take much to figure out. I don't have no kids going to school. You know, I mean, I paid my share over my lifetime, but 65 and Social Security just doesn't do it. I also want to talk about the infamous 24-inch pipe that's up above Merrifield Avenue. I just don't get it, why they don't take care of fixing that pipe. That's gonna not solve the whole problem, but it'll save us from the next flood, which is definitely coming sooner or later. Also, with the winter months coming now, and a lot of, if we get heavy snowfalls, you know, then it's like it's not a common thing, but, you know, when you get a warm day after heavy snowfalls and you have that melt, that causes flooding problems too that we're all scared of up there. But I don't understand. They discovered that pipe that was stopped by one of the neighbors there on Briggs Street, you know, they found it out to be not his property. So it's such a cheap fix that's going to save us. You know, I just don't get it why something can't be done about that 24-inch pipe. It was said that, the way I understand it, that they're not going to do that until they do the whole project, starting way up on West Mountain, up at the Turnpike. You know, we all know that's going to take many, many years to get done. So why don't they do that 24-inch pipe? I don't know. I can't imagine what the reason to not do that. We even got an estimate of about, it would cost maybe $10,000 to do that. What's the big deal? Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shreve. Ron Ellman.
Evening, Council. Sunday, I read Kelly's latest incredible misuse of the facts in the Times, of course, making those mentally defective enough to purchase properties built on coal slag across from a 100-year-old landfill and declare this mediocre assemblage the victims This is senseless. It won't stop with these people. But they do have some solutions. One of them's, you keep whining enough, maybe the government will have a buyout, which they won't. Maybe they could close this wretched sword place, and that'll never happen. Or they just keep on aggravating the issue to our waste rates are equal to mortgages, and this can happen, believe me. Also, it appears to me that Kelly wishes to avoid his past ill-conceived esteem for his new friend Sadat, who so openly is a staunch, loyal, anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish, racist supporter of those murderous jackals that started this war, this terrible war. I judge this by his past letters I've been reading for years to the paper. It seems like they can't wait to print one. I don't think he likes anything Jewish. I don't know. I've never talked to him, but judging by his letters. You know, Saturday, there's another one joined these two from the Abingtons. I can't pronounce his name, Hemi Mischief or something, but he wrote that this is Jewish propaganda, Israeli propaganda, it never happened. How do people like this, I just don't understand how people like this can exist with these terrible thoughts. Maybe the three of them could join hands and dance to the Islamic revolutionary anthem, and there is one, believe it or not. And anybody that wants to hear it, you can look up on Facebook. I think it was the first week in May 2019. There was two young Arab-speaking little girls reading in a 2-minute video, and they come out with such, by the way, this has been translated so Americans can have it. They come out with such lines as, "We would chop their heads off," and so on. This is their children from the mosque that we protect, them to be liable to say such things. I don't know, but this is, to me, they ought to use the tunnels for a sewage system when we have to go back and rebuild Gaza. And that'd just be for another war, probably. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Lee Morgan.
Good evening, Council. Two things here to start off with today. The book sale at the mall, fantastic thing. I hope some people go there and buy some books and actually read them. And the other thing I have here is, listening to Ron speak today, you have to ask yourself how a country has protesters protesting on behalf of terrorists. And I just think the best solution to the whole problem is that if they violate the law, take them into a courtroom, order them to do 6 months in jail, or watch the videos of the people being murdered by Hamas. I think you should give people a choice. They had a choice, and they do have a choice to speak their mind, but the things they're doing go way beyond that. The other thing I have here today is there's no update on the mayor or her legal team in regards to the things I filed in federal court. Not that it's important, but I think that people should start watching these meetings. They don't have to watch them on ECTV. They can pull them up on YouTube. And really pay attention and listen to what's taking place in our government. Now, it's my opinion that the pool project at Naog Park was not a worthy project. It just isn't designed right, and it doesn't meet the requirements of the community. And it was based too much in politics and too little in reality. It's easy to squander a lot of money and not meet the needs of the public. But I do think that the residents need to come to a realization that we need to rewrite the Home Rule Charter. We need to gain control of grant money. We need ordinary residents to be able to come forward and voice their opinions on where money needs to be spent and remove it from politics. The city's population base has continued to decline over my entire lifetime. People come here that at one time lived here and ask, how does a city become this run down? Misapplication of grant money. Just because you spend $5 million, $10 million, any figure you want to choose doesn't mean that you're solving any problems. It just means that you're spending money. And when you look at the haphazard way that this money's been spent over a period of time, I'd really be interested in the city looking backwards 30 years and coming and lay it all here on the table and tell us where we've spent all this money for 30 years and look at the benefits it's given the residents. I think the city lacks the commitment to spend its own tax money in the city. We're always doing something with a grant, but we're not directing city-based revenue to any major problems. And when we look at our city, we have to ask the residents why so few of them vote, and the answer is very simple. We have a government, it's like welfare, to be honest with you. We elect people, they give us no benefit for the wages they receive. And all the people that come here and ask about audits and freedom of information, somebody's got to convince me why if free people don't have every bit of access to every bit of information this government possesses unless it's classified for a worthy reason. And to hash it back and forth is utter silliness, because you're just a beggar begging your government to respond to you and tell you something they want to keep secret. And it's also time for these residents to realize that you have to start watching these meetings, you have to organize, and you have to change this charter. Maybe we don't need a council or a mayor anymore. Maybe we need another form of government. But the one group of people we need to empower are the residents, and we need to stop putting them in debt. We need to start cutting the amount of taxation and the amount of wasteful spending. The one thing to remember is you have to control your past before you have a future, and that's why this city's population has declined over my entire lifetime, because the people in this city don't have a future because they don't want one.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Virgil Argento.
Virgil Argento. Once again, thank you, Senator Marty Flynn, for covering up the graffiti. Once again, no city officials were present. He also cleaned up graffiti at Weston Field on Providence Road. This is where the Director of Parks and Recreation works out of every day. You would have to see the graffiti every day on your way in and out of work. But the administration wants to give this guy a raise and an assistant. Is paying contractors up front with grant money something new in this administration? Is that something we've learned in the Harvard Business School? Does that violate contractors' law from the early 2000s? Does it violate any grant rules and regulations on the city's part? And can we be penalized and held accountable for doing something like this? Or is there just another set of rules as do as we say, not as we do? You're all aware of the ethic boards. 7K, Resolution 346-2023. When you violate your own rules, you're aware of the penalties that the ethic boards can hand out against you guys. Okay, with the rash of water main breaks lately, are we prepared for fires when there's no water or low water pressure? Saturday night, November 25th, in the rear of the 600 block of Prescott Avenue, might have been Bunzelli Court, there was an issue with no water and very low water pressure. Tanker trucks had to be brought in. That's fine. I'm not looking to be a Monday morning quarterback here tonight, but as a precaution, when a break like this happens and it affects the size of the area like it did, wouldn't it be wise that we would have tanker trucks stationed in the city from other communities and others on standby as soon as we're notified of the break? It was almost 24 hours later. Considering the water main breaks are more frequently lately, calling for tankers after the fact, it's not only dangerous to the men and the women fighting the fires, it could be devastating to property loss. More importantly, would you agree it's important that we investigate purchasing our own tanker truck and maybe a foam truck? It would be beneficial. After all, we covered part of Route 81, part of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and it's 2023. We all know the traffic is at an all-time high. With all the seminars, conventions, FEMA and PEMA disasters attended by a select group of fire department members, I'm sure we can agree this equipment is warranted. Having this equipment may be also billable when called out to accidents. Let's not forget, we have many bright red, shiny pickup trucks running around the city for the fire department. We don't have a problem with that. It's not my problem either. The city administration made me very aware of the pickups due to the right to know filed on city vehicles that I had filed. The fire vehicles were the only ones listed by the city. Last time we checked, pickup trucks didn't put out fires. Tanker trucks and foam trucks do. If you want to justify the red shiny pickup trucks, they're good for the Garrity's and the Redner's runs. Can we justify the cost of a pickup truck versus their use? Examples as insurance, gas, maintenance, wear and tear. Couldn't some of that funding be used for lettering the city's beautiful piece of apparatus? The Rescue Number 1 truck that we have, that's a piece of apparatus that deserves funding. Did you ever see that running down the road? It looks like a big red box. Do we know how much we're paying for the sheds for the fire departments that we're getting lately? Rumor within the ranks has it that we're buying a shed for each firehouse, but we're buying it one at a time. Well, we're all smart enough to know what happens when we buy one item at a time without bidding it out, don't we? Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Argenta. Excuse me, is there anyone else who would like to be heard?
Tom Coyne, Manuka. Though I'd love to wait for negotiations, we need to move on and approve the city's HUP legislation and move it out of 8th order. Letting it sit and die is not in the people's interest. City Council requested and pushed for it, and City Council should own the terms and the limits placed on it. I hope you would add a directive to work the top 100 first, and then once the top 100 are taken care of, report back to City Council before moving forward. City expenses report. The document provided, page 1 duplicates page 2. except for a mystery increase in the Keystone container line. $447,512.26 engineering estimate is no way reasonable as under an emergency order. I really can't see how a estimate is an emergency order. The only way I can see that it's put there is to inflate the numbers and to avoid oversight. Johnson College, equipment and damage, $28,991.69. I believe Johnson College is probably insured. IT equipment, listed as 7 at 1 month. 7 what? Listed as also 2 hotspots and a printer at $10,000. I'm curious on the $35,428.40 in Scranton Police Department equipment charged. And can you tell me what the overtime rate is for DPW equipment that's listed? Does it get retirement benefits, the equipment? Well, DPW straight and overtime equipment was charged at $61,185.26. And that's not for the personnel, that's for the equipment. Why are residents in that listed in donations counted as resident donations counted as expenses? Let's not forget, while Johnson's College is getting $28,991 and change, we're bickering about the city tax relief of $2,000 to $2,500 for most of the homes in that area. I would give it to almost everyone. Doubling the percentage of damaged as a discount. 10% damage, 20% tax relief. Up to 50%, which would be 100% tax relief for anyone above 50%. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% brackets. I understand you're going to table 5C, but I have multiple issues with this. The fine structure for the handicap parking space is $75, and I believe that's too low. Most cities make handicap violations excessive to promote avoidance. Philadelphia, it's a $250 fine. Understanding the issue, I would like to see it at $150, not $75 for handicap parking. Section 6 should include immediate towing for any vehicle in a handicapped spot. You get a ticket, the tow truck is called, the car is impounded if you're not lucky enough to get back and move it first. Section D4 states there's an appeal process, and in the event of the appeal goes to the one board, on a 2-2 vote, it's deemed denied. For a civil fine, why is this? Evidently, Scranton needs even less than the preponderance of evidence and not even a simple majority to find a plaintiff guilty, which is completely opposite from any court where you go in and you charge someone. The burden is on the people prosecuting. If it's a 2-2 tie, it should fall in favor of the people who are appealing the fine. The citizen is also stuck with multiple steps, which is wrong. I get a ticket from the city. I appeal to the city. If I lose that, I appeal to the city so the city can see whether the city and the city's representative was correct in appeal before I move on to court. There shouldn't be that many steps. 5B, parking lot. As 11-car open space requires a certificate of occupancy, as talked about. Insane. Does it need power? Does it need electric? Does it need a sewer system for its occupancy? Since it conveys any property over 10 spaces, that means the university, apartments, city properties, any business like McDonald's that have over 10 spaces offering free parking for patrons are underneath this. And last, 5C is even odder, as the Section 9, subsection 439-60B defines a private parking lot as not applying if they do not charge, with no mention of parking for patronage. I guess the law department decides to toss out any consistency in definitions between the two legislations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coyne. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard?
Marie Schumacher. I was happy to look at the early edition of the online of the Scranton Times because since Serenity, a report on what's happening up at Serenity has been declined by the city. They do have one in, I guess it's tomorrow morning's paper, and I think it's very interesting and maybe why they don't want to talk about it. And I think you people need to get involved and find out what's happening and maybe go back and see what they promised when they bought that and see how they compare. But also, the real reason I'm here tonight is a couple weeks ago, I noticed there was it reported that there's water flowing down Snook Street from Lake Scranton, from the Seymour up to Lake Scranton, and you know that it's not bad when it's warm out, but when it gets cold, that wet stuff turns to ice. And it gets very dangerous, especially if you've got a slope. And of course, as you know, I think before you came in today, it got pretty cold. And that is causing, I think, problems. Now, I've been looking at it, and the water is coming from one place. And I know Snook Street has, it's sort of crazy. Some lots have gutters and drains, and other sections don't. And I think this, where the water is coming from, probably doesn't. But as I pointed out, there is a drain about 15, 20 feet at the most above at the very next lot. And why, some piece of plastic piping can't be from the one that's putting the water on to that 15 or 20 feet away into a drain, it just goes beyond me. Now, I did ask that that be looked at. Did anybody look at that or ask if DPW looked at doing that?
Did we inquire on that? Is the drains up above where the water's flowing down?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's check with DPW and see if there's anything that can be done. I'm very familiar with what Mrs. Schumacher's talking about. That is a major part of the stormwater project that's going to happen up there. But in the meantime, it is it's bad. I mean, especially now that it's starting to freeze. But part of it may be that the drain is uphill from where the water's coming from. I don't know. But we'll look into that.
Okay.
I'll
Thank
take care
you.
of it.
I appreciate that. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schumacher. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard?
Good evening, Council. Dave Dotson, resident, taxpayer. I'd like to point out once again for the 150th time or whatever, 37.5% of the buildings in town are owned by 501c3s. They are tax exempt. And many of them, or most of them, do admirable things. However, they are a significant burden on the residents that do have to pay school taxes and city support taxes, city maintenance taxes, and so forth. And we need, I feel, to look into the possibility of going to the courts to get the Pennsylvania Constitution put aside after a certain point. They can't keep requiring us to cover for an ever-increasing tax-exempt organizations and expect the people remaining behind pay for it. It's just too much. The water company, I propose that we not only complain to the PUC, who I regard as useless. It's time to look into the potential of going to court, or at least examining their bill of sale and promises made that they would keep the rates steady. And I did a little math years ago. I talked to somebody that was involved with water quality in Northeast PA, and they had 25 years to fix this. They actually went to court with the EPA and got 25 years, and the American people or the people of the area got bamboozled into thinking that this all had to be done overnight, or they're going to have to move out of their house or something. And then we got the colleges involved, and they came up with this wonderful Henry Amoroso. And nothing that he promised ever came to fruition, except that the water company will have the right to pick our pockets clean. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'm still angry about it. Every month I pick up the bill and look at it, and there's some other excuse why they should be able to charge me 20% of my personal income to deliver water. And by the way, last week we were out of water for a day because the brand new pipes they put in sprung a leak. So, and those pipes will be there 50 years from now, once they're finally fixed. And finally, I have a little time left. There's an article, the Scranton Times have sent their employees out of the Times building to work at home. And there's a few people going to move into another building. And some of the articles in here are from people from Schuylkill Haven, or like, really, what does that have to do with our area? You know, it's really a shame that this has gotten to this point. I won't stop by in the Times because I need information from local people. But here we have Bloomsburg new opinion on Social Security, and it's all about the average jerk getting screwed, and that's about it. Forget it. Higher wages would put more money into Social Security instead of $7.25 an hour. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson.
Good evening, Council. Norma Jeffries, Scranton resident. I love the looks on your faces. Are very not happy. But I only have a real short thing today. It's about the Naog Park Light Show. Is on and up and running. And just to let anyone that isn't familiar with the light show, that it does start at 5 o'clock and runs through 10 o'clock on Monday through, for the whole week, Monday through Sunday. And there is a horse and buggy ride that runs through the park, which is very festival and adds to the experience of being in the park. We also are looking for volunteers to help collect. And if you look at the, everyone doesn't have Facebook, but if you could look online at Naog Park, the schedule for the volunteer schedule should be up, and we always need volunteers to help collect as the people go through the park. We do give out candy canes to those individuals that come through the park. So I'm here tonight just to ask for the assistance of our city residents to come out to the park, and it's free. And there was an article, I don't recall who it was, that gave the ranking, but Naog Park was one of 19 great displays in the state of Pennsylvania. So I think that's kind of neat. So to the residents out there, if they could just add that to their holiday list, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffries.
Norma Jeffries, I'm always happy to see you come up and speak.
Hello, Council. Rick Little. I'd like to talk about the media and the judiciary. I watched the news, and U.S. Marshals took care of the one police officer who was collecting $5,000 working at HUD, or not working at HUD, and he had to pay $17,000. This is what the media reports. There's construction going on at Scranton Housing Authority for the last 3 weeks. They blocked the bus stop. I don't see any permits. It's a Linde Corporation doing the work, Linde, and it's just like everything. The Scranton Housing Authority, whose board is chosen by the mayor and you, it's a fiefdom unto itself. Could be a thing of great revenue for the city, for the county, but they have co-opted all parts of it. SHA was incorporated in 1939, and there's just too many lawyers, and I notice there's lawyers everywhere in this town, but who's protecting the interest of Scranton lawyers or protecting the county? All these non-for-profits, I see the ads today for, these non-for-profits, these 501(c)(3)s, the Area Agency of Aging, Medicare Part C, and Lackawanna Pro Bono and NPLS. The only legal protections that people have. I know that it's like communism, because in 1902, all Lackawanna real estate records were moved to Lackawanna, New York. So it's really hard to get a handle on anything, but the fact of the matter is there's no permitting, and they're blocking the bus stop with this construction, and SHA is a fiefdom unto its own. A couple weeks ago, they granted everybody from SHA a 4% raise. I know that the salaries are astronomical, and the people in place there, you know, the district attorneys, the ex-commissioners for New York, and for the county, and police officers have been working there for years. It's part of the power of the district attorney and the two district attorneys who run SHA. And continually take them to this court, the magistrate court. There's no records of this court with docket numbers, so anybody could follow up on anything with it. It's all dancing around a communism. I hope the new Board of Commissioners and get a hold of this, but I hope the city gets a hold of this situation. We're talking about signs and taxes and everything. The city of Scranton should demand an audit of SHA, its namesake, because they're stealing Social Security and they're ruining the whole area. Let's see, it's all, I guess I'm out of time, but they're squandering money with 501c3 grants.
Thank you, Mr. Little.
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. Smurl, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, just one. Mr. Voldenberg, I've received some requests to have the intersection of Birch Street and South Washington Avenue looked at for possibly a traffic study to see if we can put a left turn signal and a right, or a left turn lane and a right turn lane at the bottom of Birch where it meets South Washington. They say when the right center lets out or South Scranton Intermediate lets out, you could be at that intersection 10 minutes because some cars want to turn right and some left, but just to see if it is wide enough to actually put those lanes in.
I'll send it out, sir.
Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Smurl. Mr. Schuster?
No comments at this time. Anything I'm going to speak about, I'll speak about on the question.
Thank you. Dr. Rothchild?
I had a couple things that were previous complaints that I wanted to check back on that hadn't yet been resolved. One of them was the Front Street, Orchard Street alley, which it's still in the same state. So I think we had heard that that could be going to the magistrate, but didn't get a date or really a clear response on that. So Mr. Voldenberg, if you could once again check on that one for me.
I will. I'll get a date.
Thank you. And then I didn't see anything, but did we receive a response on a parking study to be done at the corner of Colfax and Olive Street?
No report as yet.
Okay. And also wanted an update on 621 rear Alder Street, which was supposed to be going to the magistrate, but a date also was not set from what we received, but that was several weeks ago. So I would assume there's a date now, and the neighbors are asking if we could find out that.
I will. I'll get the information from Mr. Sunday.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Rothchild. Mr. McAndrew?
Yeah, I have one concern that was brought to me today, and it's up on East Mountain, and this concerned residents send me some pictures, which I'll share with you later, Mr. Voldenberg. But the issue that is there is about leaves that are collecting at the catch basins, and they're coming from down.
Excuse me, Mr. Little. Thank you.
They're traveling down East Mountain Road from, what is it, Yazoo Lane. And they're not leaves that were bagged and put out to be picked up. They're not leaves that were raked in a pile so the vacuum can come and get them. This is just happening normally, and it's causing, the catch basins to be, to be blocked. So could you please reach out to DPW? Maybe they can do, with the sweepers swing by or the vac or both, so to eliminate this problem.
Can you add Froud and Brook?
I will, Mr. McKenna.
And in addition, do Froude Brook while you're at it. See, maybe they can swing by there and do the same thing.
Brooke, similar
Froude
condition.
and Brook.
Thank you.
Thank you, that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. I have a few responses from last week. A street light was installed at 300 block of Wall Street after a petition was received from neighbors and subsequent approval by the city engineer, Scranton Police Department, and DPW. Special thanks to DPW for the quick review and installation. A resident of 700 block of Orchard Street across from Whittier Elementary contacted City Council to assist in issues on the block that include request the delivery truck to the school that delivers goods at the end of the delivery day. She's requesting that the delivery truck deliver goods at the end of the day rather than 6:30 a.m. On weekdays. The beeping reverse warning light is allowed at this time of the morning, and also to address traffic and speeding down Grimes Court. Students use Grimes Court each morning to traverse to school. It was a request the city paint over the crosswalk to nowhere in front of their property that ends on the front lawn. The crosswalk was placed by Scranton School District, and they advised they will let the markings wear away and not replace it. The residents would like the city to remove it. All appropriate departments have been notified on this issue. We sent Mr. Patrick LaFrancis' claim to the city administration and LIPS department on Wednesday, November 22nd for review and response. The city is reviewing and will advise. With respect to the 2024 budget, this council is continuing to work on making amendments to the proposed budget by the mayor, hoping to finalize those amendments by, I'm hoping by Thursday or Friday of this week, so that we can post the amended budget up on the website for residents to review. We're obviously hoping to reduce the proposed 3.5% tax increase, to at least get that to somewhat of a reasonable spot, although I realize that any increase is not, would be not considered reasonable, but we're doing the best that we can, but we will try to get that amended and posted on the city website as soon as possible this week, prior to hopefully passage on December 5th, and that's all I have. Thank you.
5B for introduction, an ordinance amending Chapter 328 of Scranton City Code, parking lots and parking garages, to update and clarify administrative provisions for the licensing, regulation, inspection, and enforcement of certain off-street parking lots and parking garages.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5B be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Okay, so there's been, someone has moved it, there's been no second, so it lacks a second for introduction, so the 5B dies.
5C for introduction, an ordinance amending and supplementing the code of the City of Scranton, the code, Chapter 439, Vehicles and Traffic, by adjudicating parking violations in civil court.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5C be introduced into its proper committee. There's no motion. 5C dies.
5D for introduction, an ordinance enacting the towing ordinance of 2023 by repealing and replacing the city's towing and storage code.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion item 5D be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second.
On the question. On the question, I think that we had some questions during our caucus, and I'd like to see this move to sixth order, but I'd like to get those questions answered, for next week.
Yeah, I think it was also discussed there's going to be a meeting, correct? That's occurring tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a
And
meeting
maybe some of
scheduled
those-
for tomorrow at 10 a.m. concerning this issue.
So maybe we'll get some of those questions answered at
Yes.
that.
All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5E for introduction and ordinance, amending file to council number 100, 1976, entitled an ordinance as amended, levying general and special taxes for the fiscal year 1977 by setting the millage for the year 2024, and the same shall remain in full force and effect annually thereafter.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that 5E be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question? On the question, I would hope that we can at least introduce this. This is the budget as presented to council with the 3.5% tax increase. But as indicated earlier, this council is working to help reduce that as much as possible, and hopefully we'll be able to come back with an amendment for next week. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
4-1, the motion passes.
5F for introduction and ordinance, amending file to council number 11, 1976, entitled an ordinance as amended enacting, imposing a tax for general revenue purposes in the amount of 2% on earned income and net profits on persons, individuals, associations, and businesses who are residents of the City of Scranton or non-residents of the City of Scranton for work done, services performed, or business conducted within the City of Scranton, requiring the filing of returns by taxpayers subject to the tax, requiring employers to collect the tax at source, providing for the administration, collection, and enforcement of the said tax, and imposing penalties for the violations, by reenacting the imposition of the wage tax at 2 4/10% on earned income for residents and 1% on earned income for non-residents of the City of Scranton for work done, services performed, or business conducted within the City of Scranton for the year 2024, and the same shall remain in full force and effect annually thereafter.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5F be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5G for introduction and ordinance. An ordinance for the general revenue by imposing a payroll tax on the amount of payroll expense generated as a result of a business conducting business activity within the city, and to be levied at a rate of 0.2787%, requiring registration and payment of the tax as condition to the conducting of such business, providing for the levy and collection of such tax, prescribing such requirements for returns and records, conferring powers and duties upon the tax collector, and imposing penalties for 2024.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5G be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question? All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5H for introduction and ordinance, amending file to council number 6, 1976, entitled an ordinance as amended, imposing a tax for general revenue purposes on the transfer of real estate property situate within the City of Scranton, prescribing and regulating the method of evidencing the payment of such tax, conferring powers and imposing duties upon certain persons, and providing penalties by imposing the rate of the realty transfer tax at 2 2/10% for calendar year 2024, and the same shall remain in full force and effect annually thereafter.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that item 5H be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5I for introduction and ordinance, amending file to council number 59, 2019, entitled an ordinance amending file to council number 17, 1994, entitled an ordinance as amended, authorizing the governing body of the City of Scranton to enact a waste disposal and collection fee for the purpose of raising revenue to cover the waste disposal and collection costs incurred by the City of Scranton for the disposal of refuse by imposing a waste of disposal and collection fee of $300 for calendar year 2020, and the same shall remain in full force and effect annually thereafter, to levy the same for calendar year 2024.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion item 5I be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved?
Second?
On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5J for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to purchase the property situate at 501 West Market Street, Scranton, PA 18508.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion item 5J be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved?
Second?
On the question,
On the question, I brought it up in caucus, and in the background information, it does say that there's a Lamar sign that's on this property and that the city is now going to be taking on that lease. So if we could just get a clarification on that lease from the administration, Mr. Voldenberg?
I will, Mr. Schuster.
Frank, I think did it say 750 or 775 a year? We can just get clarification if that is in fact the case, and the length of that.
And the term. I will.
Thank you. All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and so moved.
5K for introduction, a resolution authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Dark Horse Emergency to perform fire station feasibility study, Engine 10 station.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion item 5K be introduced into its proper committee.
So moved.
Second?
On the question, this is $110,000 of city funds that would be spent doing a study about possibly moving engine number 10. I'd rather see $110,000 go into the redesign of engine number 10 in the exact spot that it sits right now, rather than moving it off East Mountain. We've been through this once before where they've closed engine number 10. There was an incredibly bad fire on Froud Avenue. Someone almost died, house burned to the ground. I will not be supporting this. I'd rather see this funding go directly toward just redesigning engine number 10 in the existing footprint of where it is now, so it can continue to serve the residents of East Mountain.
On the question, I'd also like to give the same sentiment. I think $110,000 could be spent maybe somewhere else. So moving forward, maybe we'll have that opportunity, and maybe the administration could bring us a different option.
On the question, we're studied to death. We have constantly have studies. We don't rely on the expertise within the city. I've always say we probably have probably the best fire department in the state of Pennsylvania. I don't think we need a feasibility study. I think with in-house, we need a logistics study. How to apply this $110,000 for that location, and not waste it on, an assessment from an outside company. So I'd rather see that money spent on either expanding it, rehabbing it, or logistically making it work, instead of giving it to another out-of-town group. So I will be voting no for this.
All those in favor of introduction signify by saying aye. Opposed? No.
No.
Motion fails.
Sixth order, no business at this time. Seventh order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, resolution number 337, 2023, appointment of Fred Cephas as a member of the Human Relations Commission to fill the unexpired 5-year term of Heather McCone to expire September 16th, 2027.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, resolution number 338, 2023, ratifying and approving the execution and submission of the grant application by the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth Financing Authority Multimodal Transportation Fund for up to $2,386,945 to be used towards the Hollow Avenue Bridge project.
What is the recommendation of the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 339, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the Office of the Economic and Community Development of the City of Scranton to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $1 million to be used towards the Naog Swim Complex project.
What is the recommendation for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question. I'm excited to see this go through. I'm hoping that this grant is awarded. As we know, it's been a long time coming. I know that the project is going to be a phased project over several years, but this will allow us to get the ball rolling and get moving on this new Naog Swim project for all the citizens and residents of the City of Scranton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 340, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application on behalf of the Divine Mercy Parish to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $182,000 to be used towards the St. Joseph's Cemetery Restoration Project.
What is the recommendation for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 341, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the City of Scranton on behalf of the Jewish Community Center to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $1 million to be used towards the Early Learning Community Hub project.
What is the recommendation of the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7E.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
7F for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 342, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the City of Scranton on behalf of the Scranton Cultural Center to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $760,000 to be used towards the Masonic Temple's renovations project.
What is the recommendation of the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7F.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7F legally and lawfully adopted.
7G for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 343, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and submit a grant application by the City of Scranton on behalf of the Deutsche Institute to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, acting through the Commonwealth Financing Authority for a local share account grant pursuant to the PA Racehorse Development and Gaming Act for up to $105,000 to be used towards the Robinson Park renovations project.
What is the recommendation of the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7G.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. I hereby declare item 7G legally and lawfully adopted.
7H for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution Number 344, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to Lackawanna Heritage Valley National and State Heritage Area, LHVA, a deed of easement and a right-of-way to allow for LHVA to continue with its trail construction project around and about the former Parker House.
What is the recommendation for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7H.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. I hereby declare item 7H legally and lawfully adopted.
7I for consideration by the Committee on Public Safety for adoption, Resolution Number 345, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into an interlocal agreement between the City of Scranton and the County of Lackawanna, both within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
What is the recommendation of the Committee on Public Safety?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Safety, I recommend final passage of item 7I.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes. I hereby declare item 7I legally and lawfully adopted.
7J for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for adoption, Resolution Number 346, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into any and all documents necessary to Pennsylvania Anthracite Heritage Museum and Scranton Iron Furnaces a right of entry to complete stormwater debris removal.
What is the recommendation for the Committee on Public Works?
As chairperson for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7J.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7J legally and lawfully adopted.
7K for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 347, 2023, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to waive the residency requirements for Sergeant Scott J. Gassemeyer in his capacity as Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Scranton.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage for item 7K.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, I'm just reiterating what I said last week. This piece of legislation never even should have came down. It violates our administrative code on multiple levels, period. I was recently elected to represent the voters, residents of Scranton. I can't represent them and follow the code if I vote against it. So, I mean, I take, like I said last week, I take my role very seriously and my responsibility to uphold the administrative code, whether I like it or not, because it's the code, it's the rules that we follow. And this is nothing personal with this gentleman, but it's just, multiple levels here that have not been followed with regards to the administrative code, from here and administration. So of course, I'll be voting no.
Also on the question, I'd echo the same sentiment as Councilman McAndrew. Being consistent, this is something we've both talked about with several waivers that have come down, so it's nothing different than some of those other waivers, so I will also be voting no.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
No.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7K legally and lawfully adopted.
7L for consideration by the Committee on Rules for adoption, Resolution Number 348, 2023, ratifying the updated provisions of the collective bargaining agreement between the tax collector of the Scranton Single Tax Office on behalf of the school district of the City of Scranton, the City of Scranton, and the County of Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, herein referred to as employer or tax collector, and representatives of local Lodge 2462, affiliated with District 1 of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, AFL-CIO, herein after referred to as union.
As chairperson of the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7L.
Second.
On the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothschild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7L legally and lawfully adopted.
Eighth Order 8A, filed to Council number 64, 2023.
This ordinance is creating overtime reporting requirements for all city departments and employees. It's been tabled until we receive additional information from the administration.
8B, filed to Council number 98, 2023.
This ordinance is the operating budget for the 2024 year.
8C, resolution number 320, 2023.
This resolution is to allow for city officials to enter into an easement by and between the PPL Electric Utilities and the City of Scranton for the property as noted, located along Amelia Avenue.
8D, resolution number 323, 2023.
This resolution is a contract with Rudolph Clark LLC to perform a review of non-taxable properties for the city. It's been tabled until additional information is received. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.